So what happens when we feel uncertain about our identity? I don't know how many of you have heard this word uncertainty, especially in this past year. I feel like the term unprecedented uncertainty is something that's come up a number of times. I guess I'll ask, so there's a little more engagement. When you hear the word uncertainty, what does that mean to you? Anybody want to answer that?
Future.
Yeah. Unsure. Absolutely. Certainly just this sense of the unknown, right? And it can exist when there's inconsistencies, when there's a lack of information. And so psychologically, when we feel uncertain and there's enough uncertainty, or the uncertainty is frightening enough, or it's intense enough, that our brain responds to that by ratcheting up our experience of fear and anxiety. And so when we feel uncertain, uncertainty can show up in a variety of forms. We can have uncertainty in our job. We can have financial uncertainty. We can have uncertainty in a relationship. But the research shows that the most debilitating and impactful form of uncertainty is something called self-uncertainty, because we can't escape ourselves, right? We are in constant relationship with ourselves. And so when we don't really have a self-strategy, we don't know what's most important to us, we feel this overwhelming need or urge to resolve that sense of uncertainty. And if we don't have an answer intrinsically, if we haven't really thought out an answer, what we tend to do is we look to our environment. We start to look externally. And so we look to create an attachment to our job, our income, our relationships. We look to the need to always be right. And it gives us an illusion of certainty. And so at least for that moment, we feel like that issue is resolved. But it's not necessarily something that's really well thought out. It's not part of a plan. It's not something that really isn't necessarily even what we really care about. And so anything that comes along that potentially threatens this sense, this illusion of certainty about who you are and how you make decisions, is often responded to with a pretty extreme response. I don't think anybody likes their identity necessarily being threatened, but I will tell you that when you have a secure identity, that when you've really thought, this is what I believe in, and this is why I believe it, and so it really is anchored, it has deep roots to it, the idea that your identity might be threatened, people might question your beliefs, you are in a much better position to be able to handle that, and to handle it in a really generous way, to be able to respond in a way where you can actually influence and be influenced, as opposed to when your identity is rooted in kind of a shallow understanding of who you are. It tends to really rock you at your core when that identity feels threatened.